the immigration policy that she was commenting on. To use almost any other word in place of the C word would have made the point that she wanted to make. I also will point out, as other women have pointed out, that the fact that we consider the C word to be one of the grossest things you can call somebody says a lot about what our society thinks of women. And also to point out, the president, of course, is perfectly comfortable using this kind of language and not just talking about women's private parts, but actually assaulting them. So, I mean, I think there's a lot more vulgarity and a lot more obscenity happening in the Oval Office than there is on late night television. That said, Samantha Bee did herself no favors by using the word.
I want to play for you. The president, of course, has denied allegations of sexual impropriety, of sexual assault, but I want to play for you what Kelly McEnany. So she speaks for the RNC. She speaks for the Republican National Committee. And she was out this morning, and it was an interesting comment that I want to get your reaction to. Here's what she said.
It's an evident, hypocritical double standard. Roseanne Barr loses her job. Samantha Bee stays and thrives. Also want to quickly point this out. She's not a feminist, and the women who are celebrating her, she is a hateful provocateur. That should not be given a platform.
Sam Bee, not a feminist? Is that an argument that seems credible to you coming from there?
No, it's not credible at all. Again, I'll just point to the different standards here. One is that the thing that Roseanne said has the weight of hundreds of years of the dehumanization of black people behind it. And the thing Samantha Bee said is a word that is only a bad word because of how society views women. And I will also point out that Samantha Bee talks about women's reproductive organs all the time, usually in celebration of them and usually talking about the government's attempt to control them. So I think that she's definitely a feminist. That's crazy to say that she's not.
I'm not a body language expert, but if I were, I would say Shauna Thomas has a thing or two to say about this conversation, and I don't want to let her jump in.
Yeah, you know, I think one of the things is, put a lot of this stuff aside, there's a cost-benefit analysis for these couple of companies, right? TBS in one case, ABC in another. Okay. Roseanne Barr went out as someone in her personal capacity on Twitter and called Valerie Jarrett, compared her to a gorilla, right? Blatantly racist in her personal capacity. ABC, as a large company, is like, is her show and the viewers and the dollars we get worth the backlash we are going to get from so many people, whether that be African-American groups, whether that be, you know, allied white groups, whether that be anyone? Is it worth it to keep her on the air? And they said no. TBS, Samantha Bee's show, way less people were watching it. But her audience, to a certain extent, kind of likes this, and it was done in the context of her show and as a comedian. And you know what? If the backlash is huge and more companies pull their products and pull their ads from Samantha Bee's show, she might be in trouble too. But some of this is a money decision, and ABC wasn't willing to risk the overall amount of money. TBS may be willing to risk it because more people might start watching Samantha Bee, which I know sounds crazy, but they might.
So can I also ask you guys about it? Yeah, real quick, Anna, go ahead.
Oh, well, I was going to say that also Roseanne Barr, it wasn't just one tweet. It was in a history of, like, awful things that she said and crazy behaviors she's had. So this was, like, kind of a final straw for ABC, whereas Samantha Bee has, for the most part, I think, been kind of a jewel of the network. I mean, she has a great show. She's done some really serious reporting on Puerto Rico, for example. So this is just, like, a blip on the radar for Samantha Bee, whereas Roseanne Barr had a whole resume of hate to, like, back her up on that.
Is there also a different double standard here, perhaps, on the part of President Trump, who is demanding now apologies for all of this? And this is a person, just to point out, who has not apologized, very sort of notably, and let me get Eugene in on this too, very notably has not apologized for the 400